Okay, now we're recording. Okay, great. I work for the telephone equipment distribution program, or we call ourselves TED. Are the captionings coming up right now, or?
So it's captioned there.
Yep,
And then at home, they have text stream.
perfect. So I was just watching this lady here to make sure she's accessing what she needed. Okay, great. Okay. So what I wanted to do today is learn a little from you. And I wanted to kind of let you know about the services that we're able to provide you. So I work for Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services Division. And Dan is going to talk about kind of our, we're part of Department of Human Services, the state. And so one of our programs we have under Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services is the TED program. Has anyone heard about the TED program before? Okay, a little bit. Okay, great. So I manage the program. Okay. And so I'm going to use this PowerPoint to help me track everything and also for you guys to visually be able to read what I'm saying. So what we do basically is we loan out assistive telephone equipment. So it's a long-term loan. It is for free from the state, okay? And the way that you are able to receive it is you have to be eligible. And part of the eligibility is that you need to have a hearing loss, speech, or physical disability, okay? Now, how are we able to provide this for free? We are receiving funding from a surcharge on wired and wireless lines. Okay, so your cell phone lines, your landlines, those phone companies
recording the
pay
meeting. Yes.
into the fund, and that's what pays for our program. So you're already kind of paying for our program already through a tax on your phone bill. So we want to let individuals know that we're here for them to provide the access they need when using the phone. Okay, so basically the people that are eligible are ones that have hearing loss, like I said, bless you. And you have to be a Minnesota resident because we serve statewide. Okay. You also have to have phone service. Now, we've been around since 1988. You can imagine how technology has changed through all the years. So now, back in the day, you would have had a landline. Some of you, do you still have landlines? Show of hands, you still, okay, great. But many people, we see a whole range of people, different age groups. Our average audience of who we tend to serve are seniors with hearing loss. So they, a lot of times, still have a landline. It feels safer, doesn't it, to have a landline? So you have to have home or cell phone service, okay? And then we also have an income guideline, which is very generous.
Do you want me to put it on presentation mode? So you have a full picture?
You're right. That is a really good point, Bertie. I'm going to put this on presentation mode. Thank you. Is that better? Did it show up?
That would be more helpful.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. So our income guideline for a 2-person household, you'd have to make less than 85,000. I'm gonna round it up, you guys, 400 a year. For a 1-person household, you'd have to make $65,335 a year. These income guidelines are just state median income. It's not like a poverty, like 400% of a poverty program. It's the state median income, and it changes every year. So it will change October 1st of this year. And normally they tend to go up. So here we have, this is, how do you apply? Okay. I'm going to, on your table or in the links to an email, you will see our TED program application Okay. Those in the room, I've actually given you a paper copy. We're in the midst of printing more applications right now. That's why you have this version. Normally it's in color, but basically the first page is generally information about our program. And then the second page is, I believe the application. Okay, I don't have it in front of me. I could pull it up, but I don't want to. Oh, thank you. I could have, thank you. Thank you, Bertie. So now I have the application in front of me. Now, the second page is the actual application. I'm going to make this as simple as possible. Basically, you fill out the application. The first piece, you sign it to agree to the terms and conditions or the loan contract. Then there's a certification that needs to be signed by a professional. So, an audiologist or your doctor, whoever you're working with, social worker, maybe someone even here at Courage Kinney, that can verify that you have a hearing loss. Then the consent to release is just a form that just says we can talk to anyone that calls us on your behalf in case the phone breaks. Okay, so it could be a family member. It's just a legal requirement when we work for the state. Anyone that you are giving us permission, we can talk to in case your phone breaks and you can't call us directly. Okay. And then we just need verification that you qualify. So it would be like your phone bill to show you a phone service. And on that would be your name and address for residency. And then it's proof of your income. So that could be like a tax, your tax form or bank statement that shows direct deposit. So if you need an application, generally you can call our 800 number. And we could either mail it to you or email it, and then you can send it back to us in the envelope that we provide, or email it back to us. So that's how you apply. Okay, so once we get the application, we basically will talk to you and have a conversation to understand your needs. What kind of trouble are you having on the phone? Is it that you can't hear high pitch frequencies, like maybe your grandchildren that have really high voices? Maybe you're not able to hear them very well, okay? Or it could be that you're not able to hear the phone ring, okay? Or maybe even hear the conversation, it's just noise, and you need something that's more like captioning, so you can read the words. We have all of those options. So we'll interview or just have a conversation with you to understand what you need. We'll obviously determine first if you're eligible. Once we determine that, then we'll have that conversation. We can ship the equipment out to your home, or if you need more assistance, like you don't have a family member or service provider that can help you set it up, we're able to do home visits. So we'll come to your home, train you on the use of the equipment, connect it, that kind of thing, and show you how to use it. Okay, now, what kind of equipment do we have? This is just a general overview of options, but I'm going to be more specific to see what you need, what would be more of interest to you. So we do have smartphones, like an iPhone or an Android smartphone that has apps already installed that would give you that communication access. For instance, maybe you need captioning to use on a mobile phone. If you can't hear the conversation, maybe you can utilize the captioning because there's special apps that are free that would already be pre-installed in the phone. And so we do have those available. We also have like iPads or other tablets that are already going to have the pre-installed apps in them. Other devices I think you may be interested in would be like a landline captioning phone. And you guys may be aware, have you heard of the CapTel captioning phone before? You may see it on TV, like there's all these different captioning phones out there now, like Clear Captions, Caption Call. And I see them on TV in commercials. We happen to have the CapTel because they were providing those to state programs when they started. So we have, it's a landline that you plug into a regular phone jack, and it will actually caption the conversation of the other person's words. But what's interesting now are things are transitioning to automatic speech recognition, or ASR. And what that is it's a technology that's built into the phone that will caption the conversation. That is being used more now instead of an actual operator that you can't see or hear that will revoice that other person's words, and then it shows up on the screen. So there's two options now. We're kind of transitioning into this new technology. We also have amplified phones. Sometimes amplified phones work just fine for people, and it's simpler, right? So it could be a cordless phone. If you have a little harder time getting to the phone on time, you could carry a cordless phone with you that's amplified, as well as you can adjust the tone. So you can adjust the volume and the tone on there. And some of them have a lot of interesting features, like one, for instance, would be a answering machine. You guys maybe sometimes struggle hearing your messages. Some of our answering machines allow you to hear the message louder, and you can slow down the speed in which that person's talking, which to me would be extremely helpful, you know? So those are some examples of what we have for persons with hearing loss. Now, I do have some links here, and I didn't want to, this is all included in the PowerPoint. There's a couple phones here that I thought may be interesting. One of the devices that we're noticing we're giving out more often is called, it's a caption phone that has a tablet. And the reason that it's helping individuals is because we're finding that consumers can't afford internet. It's so expensive. And so a lot of these caption phones require internet connection. Well, this phone here, I'm going to click on the link. It's going to take us to a website. And this is a phone that one of our vendors created. And please ignore the price. That's just their retail price.
Yeah, give them three.
Oh, okay. Do I need to share again, or?
No, it just should be flipping around between your tabs on top. You know?
Okay, sorry about that. Let's see.
So did it show up? Oh, well, maybe you're right.
Maybe I need to share again.
Oh. Why is it? It should just popped up button. Yeah. Stop share and then see if you can locate that with the share, right?
Mhm. Right there. Oh,
Right.
sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Okay, great. It didn't show up though on here. Okay,
Let's see. Okay, so this happened the last time.
okay.
Paused.
It is showing up in the Zoom.
It is showing
is?
up in the Zoom. Okay. Why? It's just.
I just need to make
Your
sure
screen.
that that
I'm
window
trying to figure-
that she's clicked on has been selected on the Zoom to share.
But why did it?
Although it
pause?
looks like that, never mind.
Why did it? Okay, sorry.
No, if it doesn't work, that's fine. I can
explain it. That's the only other thing I can think about is to do that, but that's not helping either. Okay,
We can pass through it. It's fine.
but it's weird. Okay,
Mhm.
so
I'll explain it. How's that? Okay.
sounds good.
So the one that I'm trying to describe is called the GLT Deluxe. You don't need internet for it. That's the beauty of it, right? So it has a cordless phone attached to a tablet. And you can read the captions on it. And so it's really quite easy to set up. And so, there's new technology coming out related to this automatic speech recognition, which is very interesting. We also have loud ringers if you can't hear the phone ring, or light flashers. Now, with the cell phones, they have actual light flashers as well that we can provide externally, that you just put on. You put the phone on like a stand, and so it will flash as well. So I'm actually kind of interested in knowing more about what you guys are needing. What are your needs in terms of the use of the phone? What are you looking for?
Wondering about that Bluetooth streamer. I have trouble understanding my messages
Okay.
and I use a speakerphone.
Okay. So the question is, if it's okay to repeat, okay, is that she's looking for a Bluetooth streamer. And that she uses it to listen to her messages on her voicemail. Okay. Now we do have Bluetooth streamers actually. If we work with your audiologist because each streamer, I believe, works with your hearing aid, a specific hearing aid, or we also have neck loops that are Bluetooth connected. And so it's universal, some of the neck loops that we have. So the neck loop I'm referring to can be connected to your hearing aid via Bluetooth, and then you're able to hear that conversation or your voicemail message. We also can get the streamers. Okay, that's more newer. We don't get a lot of requests, but we definitely would like to provide. Mhm.
And can you slow down the message with the streamer?
I don't think you can slow down the message with the streamer unless you have an answering machine that slows it down. So like one of the devices we have slows down the messages. But see, there's a difference between an answering machine and voicemail service that you already have on your phone. The voicemail, you're depending on that person leaving a message to slow down. The answering machine, you'd have to have one or the other, basically. You can slow down their message just from the actual answering machine. Okay. And then there's a gentleman in the back that had a question.
The list you have on the screen is sort of self-explanatory, but could you go through it and just kind of give a link?
Sure. Okay, so I was requested to go through this list. Before I jump into that, I just want to make sure that anyone on Zoom, does anyone on Zoom have any questions?
I'm not seeing any questions from anybody, but please post them in the chat if you do.
Okay.
So that phone you were just explaining, you need to downsize that from online. Because that's what they're seeing online. Yeah. So that's when I was like, okay. Why is it not? I'm gonna just do a stop share, restart, okay? I'm so sorry. Oh, God, don't worry about it. All right, does that look like what you're on? Laura, did it switch over? All right, thank you so much.
Think. Okay. I'm gonna go through this, you guys. You asked for it, you're getting it, okay? Oh, yeah. Go ahead and question in the back.
Say that if you send me or Bertie this presentation, I can put these links on our website.
Oh, okay. So this is just an example of some of the devices we have. It's not comprehensive list. So can we talk offline about that? That would be great. Okay, perfect. Okay. Now, some of you, since we serve physically disabled, we have the Google Nest. You guys know, have you heard of the Amazon, or the Echo Dot or the Echo Show? Those are those, speaker devices that you say, Alexa, what's the temperature outside? Right? I don't have one, unfortunately. I did get one from my father. But this is used for someone who has a physical disability that cannot use their hands, but can use their voice to turn on the phone or place a call. So that's what the Google Nest Hub Max is for. Okay. And I'm not going to click on the links because I didn't know if it's going to work for everyone to see them. Okay. The RAS Mobility Memory Phone is for someone that needs a simple cell phone. And it has larger buttons. A lot of times we serve people with hearing loss as well as vision loss. And so it is a larger button, simple smartphone. Okay. I believe it can utilize any of the service providers. So like T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon. And so, but if you were to look into this phone, it's going to say it's for those people with dementia. We don't utilize it necessarily for people with dementia. It's for someone that just needs a simple phone, right? And you may have also seen the Jitterbug phones on TV. We also have those, which are simple cell phones that's either a flip or a smartphone. And they have some really nice safety, health-related services included in that. So the ATOS True Tone Emote is an actual electrolarynx. If you've seen someone that has a speech disability, their voice box has been removed, maybe due to cancer. And so they're utilizing this kind of vibrating device and talking into it because they don't have a voice, but it will actually create that voice for them. That's the only way they can actually talk on the phone because their voice box has been removed. So it's connected via Bluetooth to a cell phone. So that's what we provide for someone with a speech disability. The next one is the P300 HCO. It's actually tablet that's using it's for someone with a speech disability who cannot talk but can hear. And hearing carryover is what HCO means. That's one of the forms of the Minnesota Relay Service, if you guys remember that. Okay, so that's what that P300 HCO is for. Someone with a speech disability who cannot hear, but has a software that will speak. I'm sorry, I said it incorrectly. Has a software that will speak for them. So they're typing on the tablet to replace their speech, and then they're hearing what the other person is saying. Hey, we also have inline headset amplifiers, which is for someone with a hearing loss. I believe it, I'm not sure if it's going to work with someone with a hearing aid per se, but it works well when you're using a tablet or an iPhone because it's amplifying it even more. Okay, so it's a kind of it's a headset that will amplify. Okay. I already talked about the Teltex GLT Deluxe. That's the captioning phone that doesn't require internet, that comes with a cordless amplified phone. And then you have, the next one is the GLT. These are such technical abbreviations. I apologize. I don't make up these names. Okay. With V2T Deluxe, what it is, it's a caption phone that uses the automatic speech recognition, but it comes with a corded phone with it. So you have a tablet with the captioning, and you have a corded phone instead of the cordless. Okay. The next one on the right here, the first item here, that one is a standalone tablet that has a captioning that if a person already has a specific cordless phone already, it'll connect to it. Then we have the Square Glow products. There's 4 of them on the list. Those are all light flasher systems. Okay. There is a vibrating one too, for someone that may have vision loss or is deafblind. And the last piece is the amplified voice dialer, which is basically someone that has a physical disability, and they can't call out themselves. So they're utilizing this to say, please dial mom. And then it'll dial out for them. So that is just some ideas of what we have for equipment. We also have a Bluetooth. Oh, okay, I'm trying to move forward here. Oh, there we go. Okay, we also have a Bluetooth amplifier that can connect to your existing cell phone. So it actually will, let's say you can't hear well on your cell phone. We have an amplified little, it's about this big, and you connect it with the Bluetooth, and you actually then use this little version of your phone to talk on it. And you can hear a lot louder and better. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, great. So basically, just related to our equipment, we're providing a long-term loan from the state. We also will repair the equipment for free. If you're having any problems with your equipment, we can repair it, exchange it for another device. If your needs change, let's say your hearing loss maybe progresses, you were able to hear on an amplified phone for some time, but now you can't, you're struggling. So we can upgrade you to maybe a caption phone if that's the best bet. So, and if you no longer need it, then it would need to be returned to the state of Minnesota. So it's the property of the state. We do have 4 regions, so we serve statewide. And this is a map of our regions. Dan will talk more about where our regional offices are located. The other thing that may be helpful to you guys, we really notice a lot of people, it's hard to pay for your phone bill or your internet. And there are programs out there that can reduce that rate if you qualify. So we're able to help you with different resources, like for instance, the Lifeline program. It's a federal program that you can get your internet reduced, or your landline reduced, or your cell phone service reduced. So we can help you fill out the application, as well as, just give you that resource. There's also the Minnesota Assistance Program. That's the Minnesota version of the discount. So that's my presentation, but I really wanted to know more about what else what do you struggle with related to technology, or see, and I'm not the expert on like the TV access, or I'm more related to telephone access. So is there any other questions related to, what you guys are looking for related to telephones?
Well, my name's Vicky. I've had a caption phone, I think, since they were first invented.
Uh-huh.
And it has been upgraded, it's now a Bluetooth caption phone. I thought we got it through the TED program, but I don't think we ever met the income requirements, so
Mhm.
maybe there wasn't one in the beginning. But my question really is, how do you get help with things that aren't working if you're not in the TED program?
Yeah. That is a very good question, and I'm just gonna repeat it in case anyone missed that. So Vicky shared that she has a caption phone. Now, one thing about the caption phones, you can get them for free from other providers, and there's no income guideline. So you may not have gotten it from the TED program, okay? That's the problem, is if the phone isn't working, then you need to contact where you got it directly. Unfortunately, we're not able to assist with that because it doesn't belong to the state. So I would think there may be a sticker on the bottom of the phone, hopefully with a phone number. Or I could look in my database to see if you are a TED client and we can talk separately. And we could easily get that replaced or repaired for you.
It's often hard to know whether it's the phone, the internet, or the streamer that I have attached to the phone.
Yeah.
Or, you know, there's so many different things that could be, so you have to call everybody and then everybody says it's something else. And then,
Oh.
well, so where do you start?
That is such a great point. You're speaking to the choir, okay? Because we deal with that every day. Is that, you know, the phone company or internet company will say, well, it's your phone. And we're like, no, it isn't. We actually will go in the home. We'll troubleshoot as much as we can, see the way things are connected. Many times, if you live in assisted living, they change your phone service system, maybe without letting you know. And then all of a sudden our phone isn't working. So there's a lot of upgrading right now with phone types of phone lines like fiber optic, high-speed broadband lines. And sometimes the phones stop working because of that. But you're right. Is it the streamer? Is it the phone line? Is it the phone? We have been trying to navigate that for years. And that's, you know, we're used to that kind of navigating. I'm hoping though, wherever you got that, they can support you with that. To figure out what the issue is. Yeah. Yes,
Would it be practical for her to go to TED instead?
that's completely up to her. She did mention that, I think you mentioned, Vicky, that you may be over the income guideline. And normally what we do for those that are over is what we would provide a list of vendors. And then that's where you would see, you know, caption call or clear captions or, you know. And so we're unfortunately, because it doesn't belong to the state, we're not able to help with that piece. Yeah,
Sarah,
yes.
is that list online that you just mentioned, the list of vendors, or does somebody have to contact deaf and hard of hearing services in order to get it?
The list of vendors, I could email you, Bertie, just, let me make a note.
Sure.
Just so you have it available. We're always updating it.
Sure.
Yes,
I could maybe talk with you about this after.
yeah,
I'm in a stroke survivor group.
yeah,
Hearing loss is a very uncommon effect of stroke. But speech and
Yeah.
mobility, particularly hand mobility
yes,
problem.
yes.
Some of these things, excuse me. Some of these things that you had, up there, I think would be a benefit.
Yeah.
Stroke survivors too. Is there an equivalent program in that area?
So that's a great question. I love that question because we really want to serve more people with speech and physical disabilities. And I should say this, if you guys belong to any communities where you are volunteering or leading a group. Like you said, you're involved in the stroke survivor group, is, okay. We do free presentations and we can bring the equipment with us to show and help understand like how it benefits, you know, your needs. I didn't bring any equipment with me today. I apologize. That's why I had the links to the pictures, which, you know, didn't work out. But yes, you're right. I think for someone that's had a stroke, there could be some physical limitation or speech limitation. And what is the name of the group?
I'm sorry.
What is the name of the group?
Spire. And it's through Regions
Oh,
and Methodist Hospital in St. Louis Park.
oh, got it. Okay. Yep. I would love to talk to you afterward and I would love to have one of our team like work with you to do a presentation do you get together? Yeah, that'd be lovely. Thank you. I have my contact information here. Email is the best way to get a hold of me. And so feel free to email me or talk to me afterward with any questions you have. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Oh, if I wasn't too long. Okay. Oh, my goodness. No rules here. Well, maybe a few.
Oh, I'm sorry, I see a question here, I didn't see it.
Oh,
Hearing.
if you'll give us just a minute, Monique, we see your question, but there's a one-on-one question happening in the room right now. Dan, should we set up your,
Oh, you take a few minutes.
sure.
Yeah.
Sarah, we have one question that was missed in the chat. The question is, how loud is too loud for these phone/devices? Talk to an audiologist, just,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, thank you guys for that question. I'm not an audiologist, even though I went to school for that. So I'll just tell you what I can share with you is our phones tend to be 50 decibels of amplification. Now, I noticed there's a card in the back table that talks about the range of decibel level that can increase. You know, there's certain ranges of noise that meet a specific decibel level. And I believe the 50 is more of a conversational, you know, it aligns with the conversational level. So ours is 50 decibels. And, you know, mind you, the industry that produces and manufactures these devices, they all have to set they're following specific standards. So it has to be safe, but also at a level that will work for someone with a hearing loss. So we work from mild to severe hearing loss or profound, a whole range. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question. Any other questions that I can answer? In the chat? Okay. Great. Thank you. You're welcome.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break here in the room to get transfer over to Dan's presentation, and I am also going to figure out what happened with the, oh. Where, come on. That's stuck again. So if you want to use the restroom, grab some coffee, I'm sorry. We'll get Dan set up here.
Okay. Um.
Top.
Okay.
Right. Are you the director?
I'm the division director.
You're the division director. Well, welcome, Dan, and
Oh.
thank you for coming. Go ahead and share. Do you want to share right away, or do you just want to do interaction?
Yeah, I'll wait to share the PowerPoint.
So,
Can I change it to gallery view so I can see everybody online?
so you want what kind of view?
Sure.
That's perfect. Great,
Yeah, to change it is up there.
great,
Uh,
great.
uh,
Hello to everyone in the room. Hello to everyone online. Jane, can you hear everything okay? All good? If you are having trouble hearing the interpreter, okay, okay. I'm just wondering, who's deaf here? Everybody good?
Everybody have access?
All right. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Like Bertie said, my name is Dan Milliken, and I am the Division Director for Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services Division within DHS. I'm sure you noticed we have a sign language interpreter with us today, Nina. So please feel free to raise your hand if you can't hear her. Interrupt me at any time. It's my pleasure to be here. I would love to thank Sarah for her presentation this morning about the TED program. Sarah and I work very closely together. So I was asked to come and present just an overall summary of what Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services Division offers. Before I dive into that presentation, I would love to learn more about the people here today. Is that okay if I ask you some questions? And people online, are you ready for that too? All right. My first question, I'm wondering who here has hearing loss? Raise your hand. Okay, me too, obviously. Great. I'm wondering if you have close family members or friends who also have hearing loss? Okay, almost all of us. So those who are familiar with hearing loss, I do have one additional question. I'm wondering how many of you were born or had hearing loss as a child? So quite young. Okay, so 3 people in the room, great. How many of you had hearing loss later in life? Okay, so more than half, okay. So the next one is a personal question. If you don't feel obligated to answer.
Okay.
Do you feel comfortable talking to other people with your hearing loss? Do you typically tell people, I have hearing loss, I'm deaf, I'm hard of hearing? Okay, okay. Great group then, excellent, okay. The reason I asked those questions is I know with today's technology, which is changing so rapidly, that sometimes when we think about hearing loss, we think about, is it hearing aids? Is it cochlear implants? Is it Bluetooth? Is it streaming? You know, what really defines hearing loss and what technology benefits all of us? So I'm younger, I'm in my mid-40s. So I was born in 79. And at that time, many individuals who were born deaf or hard of hearing had an illness that caused it. I don't know why I was deaf. My parents found out when I was 18 months old. And there's no specified reason. So it's a different journey, identifying myself as a deaf person growing up. So I was just curious to ask, you know, what your connections were and what services would be most beneficial for you what equipment you use. Is it hearing aids? Is it cochlear implants? Is it nothing? It's just so fascinating because we know that, you know, it's not one size fits all, right? And that's the challenge as well. Often when we are working with individuals or with service providers, organizations, they think everyone with a hearing loss is the same. So there are a lot of assumptions made when working with that group.
So what?
So
Done.
that's it in a nutshell. I would just hope that everyone is preparing their questions, looking forward to this presentation. Who is familiar with Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services Division before you came here today? Who knew about it? Okay, a few people in the room, okay. So Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services Division is run by the state. It's a state agency. It was established in 1980. And so it was established by state law, and the purpose of it is to provide regional services and support to individuals who are deaf, hard of hearing, deaf-blind, or who have hearing aids or late deafened. So that's all over Minnesota. Remember back at that time, there was no ADA in place. So the Americans with Disabilities Act had not been passed. That was passed in 1990. So when we think about that, I mean, the ADA really is still young in terms of the law, right? It's only been around for 34 years. I mean, I lived 10 years before the ADA was even around. I'm still young, but I'm old enough to remember what life looked like before the ADA had been passed. And I'm sure some of you have some of that shared experience. And I know we've reached the point now where the ADA has become more mature. But the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services Division has been in state law. It's the Minnesota is one of the few states that in the country that had actually passed that into law to serve deaf, hard of hearing, late deafened, and deaf-blind individuals to get that support regionally, to make sure that they have the quality of life they deserve, which is fabulous. So, like Sarah mentioned, the TED program is also supported by state law. So the Department of Commerce, a different department, but we have partnered to provide services. So how lucky are we that Minnesota as a state was so progressive? I know someone had asked more about the advisory board and the Minnesota Commission for Deaf, Hard of Hearing, and Deaf-blind. And how our advisory committee is different. So I do have that tucked away for later, and I will get into that. I'm gonna go ahead and share the PowerPoint now. I will just warn you, it's a lot of information. I'm not gonna go too in depth with it. I'm sure that it will be forwarded to all of you as a group, if that's okay. Great. Okay, how do I pull up that PowerPoint? Chair, do you mind just taking care of that? I'm always nervous around computers.
Okay, to move it forward.
Great, thank you very much. All right, so again, it's just an overview of what we offer within the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services Division. So what is the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services Division? Again, mainly to serve Minnesotans of all ages who are deaf, deaf-blind, and hard of hearing. We also serve families of individuals with hearing loss, human service providers, employers and businesses, schools, and other organizations. We support independence and participation in life, learning, and work. The services are offered through 5 offices set up around the state and with our community partners. So this is important information to note. Our 4 main regional services, our 4 service areas are regional services, mental health, the TED program like Sarah shared, and community-based grant programs.
What?
I would like to point out that
All.
all of these are state-funded programs, which is really fabulous. All right, I know I briefly covered the history of this. We were founded in 1980 based on a state mandate. The state statute is listed here. And again, it was a focus on a statewide network of regional services for deaf, deafblind, hard of hearing, and late deafened individuals through direct client services, grants, and contract management.
Okay.
So again, composed of these 4 programs. So I know that this group is very familiar with hearing loss. Sarah and I, when we present to more general audiences, like some of these individuals have never met a person with hearing loss or what hearing loss is like. So we tend to share some general information about what hearing loss is.
Very common.
So it's very common. About 20% of people over 12 in Minnesota have hearing loss. 1 in 2 adults, so 50% of adults 75 years and older have a hearing loss. And sudden noise-induced hearing loss and tinnitus are most common disabilities affecting combat veterans.
Well, actually,
So I'd like to circle back to this second bullet point, the second and third bullet point, pardon me. So some older adults accept that they have hearing loss. They go get hearing aids, cochlear implants, whatever support they need. There is another group of older adults who are in denial. So as they're participating in life, they're unfortunately missing information and become increasingly isolated over time, right? They go to meetings, family events, and this is a growing population. So we're really trying to address that population and help them accept that this is a process, and we want to make sure they have a quality of life and services that they truly need. And so this fact about combat veterans, noise-induced hearing loss and tinnitus are the most common disabilities. And this is also true for younger individuals, so not just combat veterans. So why are younger people at risk of more hearing loss? Does anyone know? Just a guess.
Remember they listed these.
Yep, listening to music too loudly, right? And so one thing we are sharing and encouraging with our young people, teenagers, toddlers, is to develop good habits when they're listening to music, listening to good quality sounding music at a reasonable level. And so the goal is to reduce the daily exposure to loud music and loud noises. So I'm deaf, but interestingly, when I mow the grass, right, like I don't need sound protection. But my neighbor, we're both the same age, is very, very good about using hearing protection when using their lawnmower, for example. And so that's what people should do, right? And so people should protect their hearing as they can. Okay, so this again is just trivia that we tend to share with a more general audience who might not be as familiar as all of you are with hearing aids. I won't go into depth on this. I'm sure all of you are familiar. So because we are a state agency and we provide services to deaf, hard of hearing, deaf, blind, and late deafened individuals. Interestingly, often people think, you know, I'm deaf. I assume you know American Sign Language. And it is true for the most part, but there are some individuals who are deaf, but don't know American Sign Language. Maybe they were raised in an oral tradition and speak for themselves. Yes.
I'm sorry, I just noticed, I'm so sorry that the slides are not progressing on the Zoom.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'll just pause here.
Don't worry.
No worries at all. Thank you, Laura.
That's it.
Technology, right?
Okay. So Laura, I didn't do anything different.
Are you sharing the screen?
Yep.
Or sharing,
The screen is being shared. Hold on here.
on Zoom, it says we're using HLA ATC present screen.
I see what happened. My apologies. I shared it from my email and I should not have done that. I should have
Team.
downloaded it.
Sorry, I didn't notice it sooner.
Oh, that's a problem. It's helping us figure this out. I'm just curious, is everyone located in the Twin Cities area? Okay, are you located in Hennepin County? How about Ramsey County, Dakota County? Okay, I'm Dakota County, quite a drive, right? Washington County? Okay, okay. Anyone from Carver?
How we doing now, Laura?
Now, we go.
Is it going forward?
It needs to be the full screen though.
Full. Give me a little bit more information. What do you mean by a full screen?
And I'm seeing like the next preview of the next screen.
I do not know why.
And
I'm sorry, Mr. You said. So you need me to change it up to just be the full screen?
well, yeah, I'd be there to read. Okay.
Because they're seeing this online, so you're good to go.
Thank you very much. And thank you for answering my questions. I just like to have a pulse of who's in the room with me. Everybody online, can you see everything okay? Any feedback on that, Laura? Can they see me clearly?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
so this is where we paused. Welcome back.
We say it that.
Okay, so I was saying that some deaf individuals identify as culturally deaf and using American Sign Language. There is another group of deaf individuals or people with hearing loss who don't use American Sign Language. Hard of hearing individuals are the same, some sign, some don't, or they use hearing aids. Same with late deafened individuals. Deaf blind individuals is such a broad community. So deaf blind is just a general term that can include hearing loss and vision loss. So it can range from a person who is deaf and completely blind all the way to an individual with more severe hearing loss than vision loss or vice versa. So there's no one size fits all for any of these identities. feel like I've covered these.
So,
So again, it is such a
Okay.
broad spectrum of individuals that we provide services for. And it's from infants to the elderly and everyone in between.
any question?
Any questions so far? So I'm going to dive in a little bit deeper about what services are offered.
What the, mean,
So one thing that I'm very passionate about is our mental health program.
I,
So this is a statewide program serving deaf, blind, hard of hearing adults. Again, it is part of state law as well.
if I,
So this is, oh, question, yes,
What is aftercare planning?
I will explain. I will get to that. Yeah, thank you very much. So again, this is a culturally affirmative and linguistically accessible mental health program. So offered in American Sign Language for deaf, blind, and hard of hearing individuals. Often individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing, when they go to meet with a mental health counselor or therapist, that communication is really difficult.
So,
And they don't share, our life experience is so unique as well. So staff are trained in American Sign Language or to how to work with hard of hearing individuals to provide that culturally affirmative services. And so we have 5 mental health therapists offered in Duluth, Mankato, the Twin Cities Metro, Moorhead, and St. Cloud. So what is the scope of these services? So crisis intervention and stabilization. So, and that could be any situation that arises. Individual and family therapy. It also includes group therapy as needed. Case coordination. That means, in addition to receiving mental health services, the therapist helps other services coordinated, that are part of mental health. And that varies depending on the individual. So like you had asked, aftercare planning, thank you for asking about that. So post-treatment, what does the plan for that individual look like and how can they have ongoing support? Because it's not an overnight thing, right? Like I've seen a therapist, I'm good to go. So they work with clients on an ongoing basis.
So.
And some of these clients are short-term or long-term planning, depending on what the individual needs are. Our work with all of this is confidential. So even myself, I do not know what clients are being served. It's completely confidential by law. And then, yes, question.
Just a quick clarification on the crisis and intervention stabilization. Does that include if somebody is addicted to drugs or alcohol?
Yes, yep, so that can include any crisis. Yep, so suicide risk, depression, addiction, yes, it could be anything. Right now, there is a nationwide network that is growing. 988, has anyone heard of the 988 service? Right, so that's a crisis line at the national level, and that's through a video phone that individuals can call. But all of these services are in person because they're all offered locally. Are we? And so again, this is as it is listed in statute. So services that are designed and delivered within the context of the culture, language, and life experiences of a person who is deaf, blind. So I want to just emphasize that life experiences and the statutes listed here. So again, wow, passed in state law. Here's a map of those mental health services, similar to how Sarah's is. A little more broken up. So again, we have those 5 mental health therapists in Duluth, St. Paul, Rochester, and in these colored regions, they serve that entire region. Moorhead and St. Cloud. So I will just make one adjustment. This Rochester location just moved to Mankato. So we should update our map. So we actually have 2 vacant mental health service positions, one left for personal reasons, the other left for a different field. We are hoping to fill those positions very soon in the St. Cloud area. So fingers crossed on how that goes. What's very difficult to fill is the position in the Moorhead area because it's such a small population and so far up in the Northwest region, we need to have an individual who is qualified and experienced working with deafblind and hard of hearing individuals, which is hard to find. And then that regional location on top of we do also oversee mental health grants. So these are focused specifically on children who are deaf, deafblind, and hard of hearing and their families. And so these organizations work closely with those children. So Volunteers of America and Therapy Services Agency. Has anyone heard of these 2 organizations before? They are very well known in the Twin Cities area. Therapeutic Services Agency typically serves our populations farther north. So the other grant that we work closely with, fabulous work, is they provide student assessments for students who are deaf, hard of hearing, deafblind. And so it helps to evaluate those students' hearing loss and figure out the students' educational needs and accessibility needs. So it's all within school-based placement within each school district. I mean, too often in the past, there would be a school psychologist who would fill this role. Would meet with a student who was deaf, deafblind, or hard of hearing, but they didn't know much about anything about hearing loss. So they would meet with that student, and unfortunately, it wasn't through that cultural, linguistic, or life experiences lens. So this is specifically established to change that. So we want it to be a school psychologist or a clinical psychologist who is trained in this field and has that understanding of our population, which has been really great. So other adult mental health grants that we oversee, this is community support. This is based in Minneapolis, People Inc., People Incorporated. And so it includes a drop-in center. We also provide psychiatric services. And those are very focused on a specific population. And they are trained and certified psychiatrists, pardon me. And they work with only deaf, deafblind, and hard of hearing individuals. So this is a very critical grant because there are so few of those qualified psychiatrists available. And when this PowerPoint is shared out with you, you're welcome to take a look at this list of other mental health providers. Everybody with me so far? Am I going too fast? No, good, okay. So to our second category of services, a lot of people ask, what does deaf and hard of hearing services do? I mean, you provide direct client service, but what does that mean? So operations, so every organization needs operations, right, to make it run smoothly. So we call it our operations airport traffic controller. Right, so those air traffic controllers, where we go, where we take off, where we land, right? How we spend that money, how we communicate information, how our programs are developed. So that what is live that's what lies under our operations group.
Like. Yeah.
Too in-depth in this,
Yeah.
we do have 35 staff, statewide. So a good number on our team.
Yeah.
We used to have 50 staff, right, Sarah? Used to be 50, yeah. So we still have a good number of our team though at 35. So again, I won't go too in-depth on this. Okay, so one thing I would like to emphasize is our regional services. So we call the regional services our bedrock of services within our division. And this is really why Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services was founded, was for the regional services. So the specialists provide information and resources to help consumers obtain communication accessible services through training, direct assistance, and advocacy. We also provide training and consultation to service providers on how to make their services accessible for people with hearing loss. And this happens a lot. We do a lot of consultation and training for two primary reasons. A lot of staff turnover, right? So when there's new staff, they don't have that training. So we retrain. And then because it is a growing population, so more and more people with hearing loss, especially as people advance and younger people are having more noise-induced hearing loss. So we do provide a lot of training and consultation. So the staff includes supervisors, deaf and hard of hearing specialists, and this is our newest position, the Social Security Advocacy Specialist. So often deaf, blind, and hard of hearing services, when they apply for Social Security services, it's so complicated that we typically refer them to this specialist to help them navigate that whole process. Yeah, question.
Yes, hi. So I am curious, like, we've had a few calls and conversations about telehealth and part not being provided or any sort of, readout technology when you're on telehealth. But then I do know of somebody who actually uses CART when they're in their medical visits. Are you or your staff trained to help with accessing it? Because people are told no. They're told no. That we
Oh, please contact us. Yes, we absolutely will help advocate for those services. That's a very good question. Thank you. So we have had several conversations with healthcare providers, and that's under the Minnesota Health Consortium. And so those conversations typically focus on American Sign Language, but we do have conversations about telehealth. So we want to make sure that they are providing accessible services regardless of what that looks like. So often people don't know that they can advocate for that and that healthcare providers should be providing those services. They have the money for it. They have the resources for it. When they say they can't, don't accept that answer. They absolutely can provide those services. So it never hurts to ask. If they say no, always push back, contact us. They can provide those services. If it's the cost involved in providing, let's say, CART services, it is, it is like a penny in the bucket to that. So this is off the record, but they can definitely afford it. So we just have to clearly advocate for those services. And so our regional partners will absolutely work with individuals who are experiencing that. We just have to be clear what we're asking for. So to answer your question, Bertie, absolutely, please contact us in that case.
Free service.
Okay. So we'll keep moving. Here's just a glimpse of what our regional services staff looks like. We're actually in the process of interviewing and hopefully hiring a second deaf and hard of hearing specialist in the Twin Cities region. So you can see vacant here. hopefully not vacant any longer.
Ram,
So our current representative is Liz Brown for the Metro region. And Liz Brown has worked with us for a very long time. So we're lucky to have her. And so the goal of those regional services is to increase outreach and training, like you asked about. We provide training to those people who don't know how to provide those services. And so to collaborate with key stakeholders, that's why we're here today, to collaborate with all of you and to connect with hard of hearing communities like we are now. So I'm gonna go off topic just for a little bit. When I first joined this division, which was back in 2018, our staff were going out frequently into the community until COVID hit, right? And then it was like a full stop for all of us. We did continue to provide virtual services. Our staff all worked from home. All of us felt very unsure what was going on during COVID, right?
Right there.
And so within a year, 2 years, and then after that 2-year mark, the State Department of Human Services said we can start returning and roll out services back into the community. At the time, that was with limited exposure. So we were offering hybrid, virtual, in-person services. And so there was a year of that rollout. And then finally, last year, in 2023, we returned to quote unquote normal services. So 2024 is really our first full year that we are running at full speed since COVID. Right, Sarah? Yeah. So I acknowledge and apologize that we have not been very visible in person in a while. It's been very challenging to figure out how to do it safely and to meet the business needs. So again, that's why we have really re-emphasized these 3 goals for our regional services. And so now many of our staff are returning back into the community. I actually just gave a presentation to the Minnesota Deaf Senior Citizens Association last week. A great group. So again, we're really emphasizing being out in the community. And so really, this started in the fall of 2022, noise induced hearing loss conference. So this is conferences and outreach that our staff have done since fall of 2022. I'm curious, who subscribes to the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services .gov delivery? Does anybody know anything about that? Okay, I will absolutely forward that, so all of you have the opportunity to sign up. So if you subscribe to our newsletter, we call it our news feed, if you will. So it's information about events, workshops, what's happening in the community. So I'll make sure you get that information. And so here are our 2024 program goals. More focused on self-advocacy. So to Bertie's question about healthcare and advocating for those services, enhanced technology focus like Sarah offered, and expanding our reach. So this is a project that is continuing to be developed. So offering a communication plan, a script of how to make a request for services. And so it is a little more focused in sign language because for individuals where English is not their first language, we have some of these self-advocacy videos in American Sign Language to make sure it's in clear and plain language for those people. Guidelines for what to do if someone tells you no, right? Shorten the guide for communicating with people with hearing loss on the phone. So many projects that we are working on within 2024. So right now we're working with the University of Minnesota It hasn't been announced yet, but the goal is to provide free hearing tests. And so for individuals who are 55 and older, we are offering assistive technology classes. So how to use the accessibility features on your phone, your tablet, your laptop. Our regional offices have demo labs. And in the St. Paul office, because we used to have two different offices located in St. Paul. One was the flagship office, and that's in downtown St. Paul, and that's on Cedar Street in the Department of Hearing Services building. The other regional office was called GRB, the Golden Rule Building. So that office has closed and has located into our flagship. You are welcome to come into our office. We are still in the process of setting up our technology lab so that individuals can demo that technology. So Robin will make sure you have that information as well. So it's not complete yet. There's a lot of moving parts to working with the facilities department. So you and I will be in touch about how we can share that information, but people are more than welcome to come in and look at the equipment to see what would be a good fit for you, like Sarah had mentioned. So I know I mentioned briefly that our mental health regional services provide grants and grant oversight. We have additional grants and contracts. So VRI, video remote interpreting training, service provider support and intervener services for people who are deafblind. Real-time captioning of live local news programming. So this is unique to us. We're offering a grant to provide that live captioning. Some people might ask, I feel like that was required by law already. It is, but this is additional support to a smaller TV market. So one example is TPT, our local news, the Twin Cities public TV station. Has anyone watched the show Almanac on there? So it's shown on Fridays. It's a pretty popular show, so we offered this grant to cover the captioning for that show specifically. So just expanding what is offered for our local news stations. In Greater Minnesota, we offer sign language interpreting to build capacity. It's very difficult to find interpreters who want to stay in Greater Minnesota. Everybody wants to live in the Twin Cities area. So we do have a grant to provide more access to that. And then we also offer family mentoring services for families who have deaf or hard of hearing children. So offering resources and information for those families. Often those families have a deaf child and it's maybe the first time they've ever met a deaf individual. So they feel unsure of what to do, how to start, how to navigate that whole process. So that's why we offer those family mentor services. Okay. So this question it comes up frequently, so I'm not surprised it came up today. People ask, Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services Division, the Minnesota Commission for Deaf, Blind, and Hard of Hearing Individuals, what is the difference? So before I go too in depth, who is familiar with the Commission for Deaf, Blind, and Hard of Hearing? Okay. Okay, so a couple of people, no problem. So I just told you about what Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services Division does. And here's a list in case you forgot. So in a nutshell, we provide direct client services. And so this is individual advocacy, partnering with families and children, partnering with our communities, partnering with businesses, you name it. It's a really hands-on approach. And the goal is to improve quality of life for Minnesotans who are deaf, blind, and hard of hearing and late deaf. So it's that whole sphere. The Minnesota Commission for Deaf, Blind, and Hard of Hearing is more of a system-based organization. So they advocate for our rights And they can lobby directly with the office, with the governor's office, with the legislature, with state officials and policymakers. So again, their goal is group advocacy for policy and systems change. So their civic engagement and public participation,
He's trying,
like a voting drive.
he's clean up.
So increasing awareness, what are captioning rights? So theirs is more of a systemic approach. We do not lobby directly at all. We actually can't, because we are a state agency. The Minnesota Commission can. So they can call Governor Waltz directly and say, hey, Governor Waltz, we want to talk about this, this, and this. We cannot, so that's the main difference between us, is that we offer individual services versus the commission, which offers system-wide advocacy.
Okay.
So lastly, I just want to emphasize that we are here to help. We are here to support any individuals who want hearing loss information, referrals, customized, personalized direct services, demonstrations of technology like the TED program. We are here to provide mental health services, provide training and consultation to service providers. Here's some additional links that will be shared with all of you. I will just say one really cool thing, this publications and fact sheet. I mean, it is a lot of information. Feel free to review that and share that with family, friends, loved ones. It's information worth sharing. For more information, you can see us at our website here. It was me 6 years ago. No white hair at that time. Things change, right? I have 3 kids now, so.
Okay.
All right, I would love to open it up to any questions.
Laura, maybe on
No, that's the
No problem at all. Sarah did have a comment to add. One comment that I overheard before you arrived, Dan. Our hearing that can be shared with you about over-the-counter hearing aids. It's just helpful to understand the concept and what's involved with over-the-counter hearing aids. And this is Dan. Oh my gosh, fantastic conversation. Thank you, Sarah. Over-the-counter hearing aids. It is such important information. I know there's becoming more and more widespread. The FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, has recognized over-the-counter hearing aids, but it can also lead to some confusion, right? So if I want to buy directly over-the-counter hearing aids because I'm an individual with hearing loss, some people, are hearing, please see an audiologist first to make sure that you are getting the right kind of hearing aid. Sometimes the over-the-counter hearing aids might not be a good fit for your hearing loss. So we are asking people to do their research first. If you can, please meet with an audiologist so you know exactly what you're looking for. Individuals with insurance, it's typically a covered visit. But I also understand that over-the-counter hearing aids can be a quick solution. So a lot of pros and cons as that enters the market. We are watching to see how things go. This is really the first generation of over-the-counter hearing aids since this past fall. So I understand that it's going to get more clarity as we continue to see how that rolls out. As a lifelong hearing aid user myself, I have never gone with an over-the-counter product yet. I've typically gone through my audiologist. Just because of my hearing level and what fits best for me. I have had maybe at least 5 different kinds of hearing aids, 5 different models or companies that I've gone with. So right now it's Phonak. I used to have Starkey hearing aids. I used to have Oticon. I also had Siemens,
we start
and I also had
and
Widex. So-
season.
I used to have an FM system, right? The big honkin' thing that you wore over your, and as a kid, you have to like chew on that cord, right? My mom's like, don't chew on that cord. And again, those have been all through audiologist services. And that's just what's worked well for me. Now that over-the-counter hearing aids are available, I honestly don't know if they're an equivalent. If you do know, if you have experienced or are considering getting over-the-counter hearing aids, I just recommend doing your research first. Just make sure it's covered by insurance as well. So,
Okay.
okay. Yeah, other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Did you ever consider a cochlear implant?
Great question. Did I consider a cochlear implant? Yes and no.
Really, but then.
So in my early 20s, when cochlear implants became more and more popular, it didn't feel right at the time. I had met with an ENT and they shared with me that I already had too much what they call residual hearing. So at the time, I didn't want to lose that residual hearing because I can hear quite well with my hearing aids. In my right ear, I can't hear anything. So there wouldn't have been a benefit. So it wasn't a good fit for me at the time.
I'm totally deaf in my right ear, and that's what I have the cochlear implant in. Without it, I wouldn't be here.
Absolutely. And for some people, it is a really good fit. And some people get cochlear implants for different reasons. My wife, interesting situation. So she's deaf. And she was also discovered deaf at 18 months old. She did learn American Sign Language when she was 18 months old on, and also learned speech. She didn't have cochlear implants. She used hearing aids. And then when she was in her early 20s, maybe 19, she started experiencing tinnitus. So that like ringing in your ears. And her doctor recommended getting a cochlear implant as an option to help with that tinnitus. After doing some research, she decided to get cochlear implants, and that tinnitus went away. Yeah. So she did say that she is prone to headaches. And is that due to the cochlear implant? I'm not sure. We're trying to figure that out, but there are so many reasons why that would be a good fit for some people. I'm not for or against cochlear implants at all. I have no stance on it. One thing I do have concerns about is how people assume that, again, that one size fits all model. So individuals with cochlear implants can all hear, or they all speak for themselves, right? And so I think that once people have cochlear implants, they need that training on how to effectively use it. It's not a magic pill, right? So everybody figures out how to use that on their own. And I just always recommend to people get all the information that you can. Yeah, and it varies person by person. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing. Other questions? Robin has been with some eyes. All right, any other questions? Okay, thank you so much for having us today. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, Bernie, I have one. I can be in touch about how to share all of this information. And do a technology demo as well. We would love to do that. So let's connect.
For sure.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for coming.
Bye to everyone online. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nina, for interpreting. Nice. All right, so I'm just going to end the meeting here. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Jane, for providing CART, and Laura for helping us out online. And so look forward to seeing you next time. Next month, my hope is to have more of a social event maybe a little bit of entertainment, and we'll take it from there. Announcement will be in our newsletter and in our website. Thank you. Have a great Saturday.